Hey guys, and welcome to Petrol Head. A good car on a beautiful road on a sunny day. It's good for the soul. Or in this case, it's good because it's a Kia e-Soul. Yes, welcome to the brand new Kia e-Soul. It's electric, and it turns out it's pretty good. Engage sport mode. Oh. Hey, we got some wheel spin there from 30 into a corner on the gap. Oh, it's squealing like a good one. Now then, at the back end of last year, as part of the filming I was doing for the TV show Vintage Voltage, I got to spend quite a lot of time in a Kia eNiro. Moggy and the team challenged me to drive all the way to Hamburg in an electric car to pick up a gearbox for one of the cars we were converting, and the car we chose was the Kia eNiro. I did well over 2,000 miles in a little over a week, and I must say the car impressed me greatly. I did a film for the channel. I'll put a card above if you haven't seen it already. I couldn't during that film say what I was doing and where exactly I went and all of the trials and tribulations of that journey, but I think you got the picture. The car was very impressive. It was a great little car to drive, very sporty, very nippy, good styling, loads of practicality, and most importantly, about 250 miles of range. And it actually did about 250 miles of range on a full charge. So when the guys at Hendy Kia Portsmouth emailed me a couple of weeks ago and asked if I'd like that, I picked up the phone and organised a date as soon as I could, because that is the new Kia e-Soul. I mean, it looks way more funky than the eNiro, but underneath that car is effectively the same underpinnings. It's got the same kind of driving performance and, most importantly, the same 250 miles of range. And by all accounts, it's pretty good. It's just won World Urban Car of the Year. So it must be quite good, right? I think the looks may well divide opinion, though. Now, if you don't like your cars edgy and funky, probably not for you. I quite like that though, and it starts off really well at the front end for me. I really love these really low profile headlamps and this kind of light bar that goes across the front. It just looks different, and I think different in this case is good. The charge port is just here. You've got the ability to use CCS charging. Now apparently this car will do up to about 77 kilowatt charging, so certainly your home charger at just over 7 kilowatts and any 50 kilowatt public charger, you're going to plug them in there. We'll talk more about how quickly and how much it's going to charge very shortly. But from a styling point of view, the front end, I like it. Back end, we'll see. Now then, I have a guilty automotive pleasure, and that is, I really have always loved the Skoda Yeti. And this, I kind of see some Skoda Yeti in this, and that for me is a good thing. I know I'm probably going to get absolutely destroyed in the comments right now, but actually I really like this. It's edgy and different. I'm not so sure about the kind of whole light thing going all the way around, but what I like about this car is it's not trying to be something else. It's trying to be something different in that urban crossover type market, and it's trying to stand out, and I think it does it really well in this trim actually, with the black and the red contrast roof. Quite like that, you know me, black and red cars, always a fan. But yes, so far so good. What about on the inside though? Now this is normally where Kias kind of start to go wrong. Is it the same with the Soul? It's not bad in here, you know. Now, if you're not a fan of piano black, you're not going to like the car. It is pretty monochromatic. However, the driving position is excellent. The steering wheel feels nice. It has a premium look to the steering wheel, and the choice of materials, apart from the plastics around the glove box here, these top level plastics, everything you touch is really nice and feels pretty premium, to be honest. Now, when I drove the eNiro, all the sat nav and the basic driving controls were very intuitive and easy to use. I do want to talk a little bit about sat nav, but I'm going to do that in conjunction with driving and charging, so bear with me on that one. But everything else is great, and also pretty premium. We've got Harman Kardon stereo in here, so your sound system's good, heated seats, all the toys that you would expect. And I like that. Yeah, these seats, they look quite nice, and they are quite supportive. They're not sports seats. This isn't a sports car, but all in all, a really nice place to do some miles. Let's just have a quick jump in the back to see what the legroom is like for your rear seat passengers. Hey, you know what? That's not bad. Now, I've got my seat all the way back. I have very long legs, 34-inch inside leg. My legs are touching the seat, but if I did that, it's not too bad. These seats are a bit flat and a bit hard, but there's loads of headroom and quite a lot of space. So again, for the sector that this car's aiming at, I think rear seat passenger space and legroom is pretty good, to be fair. The big question is, can you fit 2 dogs in the boot? Can you fit 2 dogs in the boot? Yeah, of course you can. It's huge in here. Hello, girls. Time for another review. Now, although... do you want to sit on my knee, do you? Although this model of Soul is bigger than the model it's replacing, it's still not as big as the eNiro. So where you miss out, if you're comparing this with the eNiro, is boot space. The eNiro had just over 450 litres of boot space. This 315, so there's a significant difference. The other thing I'm not so keen on is there is a huge lip between the bottom of the floor and here, although you can put a false floor in here, so you could have like an underfloor as well, but it's not tiny, it's reasonably practical, but it's certainly not as big as the eNiro. Now then, what I'm going to do now is just give you some information about the spec options and the price, and then we're going to go for a drive. But I think we'll leave these two scruffy Herberts here at home. Speccing a Soul EV is really easy because they only do the Soul EV First Edition, which comes with everything as standard. That includes LED lights, rear privacy glass, electric and heated wing mirrors, rain-sensing wipers, leather upholstery, heated front seats and steering wheel, electrically adjustable driver's seat, adaptive smart cruise control, auto-dimming rear-view mirror, head-up display, DAB radio, reversing camera and rear parking sensor, wireless phone charging and 10-speaker Harman Kardon sound system, along with a range of driver safety aids. The only colour choices, there are 3. You can have black with a red roof, white with a red roof or blue with a black roof. There are a few simple other options like decals and accessories, so the price is quoted as from £34,295, that is after a £3,000 deduction for the plug-in car grant in the UK. Now, what better place to start the driving review of this car than driving through a built-up area or a town? After all, that's the main focus, the main reason this car exists. It is an urban car. It's just one urban car of the year, so it should be quite good, right? Well, first things first, it's not a massive car in terms of footprint, which is a good thing, but that doesn't compromise its internal space. It feels really airy in here because it's so tall. It's got such a high roof. You really do feel like there's lots of space. I would quite like a pan roof in here. I think that would just lighten up the cabin a great deal. But when you're driving through a built-up area, it's a very pleasant place to be. It's certainly nippy and sporty, and actually for me, that's when EVs come into their own. When you're driving through a town, it just feels like the right thing to do. Now, in the drive modes of the car, I've got normal, sport and eco. You can actually go into the settings and set regenerative braking levels, and there are 3 different levels of regenerative braking in this car, but you can also change them by using the little paddles on the back of the steering wheel. And when you're in a built-up area like this, my recommendation is that you go to the highest regen braking level, and that is level 3, because if I come up to this car, I will lift my foot off the throttle and all of that braking is being done by the car. You don't really need to use the brake at all. And that, for me, well, there's two benefits. One, I think it's quite a nice way to drive inside the cities, but also it means that you are actually recuperating some of that kinetic energy back into the battery pack as power to use for going rather than stopping. Now, while we are inching through this traffic, let's just talk about the powertrain in the car, because it's the same as the eNiro. So we've got a 64 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery pack, and Kia quote that being good enough for 280 miles. I think that's pretty kind of perfect conditions. My experience with the eNiro is 250 miles is well achievable, and when I picked this car up this morning, given its kind of previous drive history, at 100% charge it was showing just over 230 miles of range. And I think that is your realistic number, that 230 to 250. Clearly it depends how you drive the car. It's just like a petrol or diesel car. If you've got a heavy right foot, you're not going to get that kind of range. Now, interestingly, for most people's journeys, especially in this kind of drive profile, city driving, that is more than enough. The average journey in the UK is only about 30 or 40 miles. So, you know, you'll wake up in the morning with this car fully charged and you would have ample amounts of range in the car for your daily commute into work, driving into the city, whatever it might be. But you've also got that confidence that if you want to go further than that, you can. Now, in terms of charging, I can connect this to up to 100 kilowatt charger. I've got the CCS connector on the front, but it won't actually charge at 100 kilowatts. As I've mentioned already, I think it's about 77 kilowatts. And again, those of you new to electric motoring, one of the kind of techniques you very quickly learn when you start getting into this electric thing is the first 20% and the last 20% of your charge. That's the bit that takes the longest. So actually what you want to do for quick, convenient charging is keep that charge state of the car between 20 and 80%. If you plug this into a fast charger, so 50 or 100 kilowatt charger, you're going to get an up to 80% charge in about 54 minutes, I guess just long enough for a leg stretch and a coffee. If you're going to use a Type 2 charger at home, which runs at about 7.2 kilowatts, then again a full charge is going to take you about 9.5 hours. And I think that Kia quote, depending on your electric tariff, a full charge in one of these things is going to be about £8 at home. Clearly costs in public charging infrastructure vary quite a bit. So it's not the fastest car to charge, but actually, and my experience in the eNiro is it's a relatively easy thing to live with. The problem is you've got to find the chargers. Now then, as we come out of the urban area into a rural area, I just want to talk about charging a little bit. And for me, one of the big challenges with electric cars, that I know it's a real cliche to say it, but it is charging infrastructure. My time with the eNiro certainly taught me that. I ended up downloading, I don't know, 5 or 6 different charge network apps. I lived by the rule of Zap Map to help me find the different charging networks. And it was all a bit of a faff. And the one thing that you can't deny about the Tesla charging network is it is absolutely excellent, but the bit that for me makes it even better than that is the way it's integrated into their cars. Now, the sat nav in here, and I must say, by the way, I don't have this car long enough today to even need to do a charge, so I'm not going to be going to any charging networks today. But the sat nav in here will tell me where the nearest charge points are. And talking to the guys at Kia this morning, my understanding is that it has improved a great deal. However, I still think that not just Kia, but any other electric car manufacturer has an awful long way to go to be able to be comparable with Tesla. And I don't understand what's taken them so long. In a Tesla, if you put in a destination that's longer than the range you have left in the car tells you you need to go via this supercharger network, stay there for X number of minutes till you get enough charge to get home. Oh, by the way, while you're there, these are the number of charge points there are and whether they're being used or not, and these are the different coffee shops and other restaurants and things you can use. It's brilliant. And that's the bit for me. It needs to be made much more simple. When I put in a destination and I need to have charge to get there, my sat nav should just do it for me. And I still don't think that we're there. And the the kind of disjointed charge network that all non-Tesla EV owners have to deal with just isn't good enough for me, and until it is, I think it will put off an awful lot of owners. I love electric cars, and actually Mrs. Petrol Head and I are looking into getting an electric car next, but at the moment, because of charging infrastructure, the only manufacturer we'll look at is Tesla. Okay, now we're out of a 30, let's put it into sport mode. Instantly it feels more peppy. I didn't even move the throttle position then, and it just feels a little bit more peppy. It's got lane departure warning and it bongs at the same time, and I haven't worked out how to turn it off, and it's really annoying. But let's just see. Now you see that's actually got some whiz to it, to be honest. Now this is not a sports car, so I don't expect it to kind of, you know, set the world on fire in terms of 0 to 60 times. I think the 0 to 60 times about 7.5 seconds, something along those lines. But it's got a good turn of speed. Now I've got the regenerative braking on number 3 on the maximum, and it really does retard the car. So when you're now out on the road like this, you probably want to turn the regen braking down a little bit. Otherwise, every time you lift off, the car slows down. So it just allows you to coast a little bit more. Clearly you don't get the recuperating of the energy, and you need to use your brake pedal a little bit more, but maybe that's more the kind of driving you would have an expectation of down a road like this. But look, I've caught up the traffic and everything. Now the looks, I know the looks are going to divide opinion, but in a way I quite like the fact that the looks are cheeky and edgy and different. I know they're not going to be for everybody. Some people think it's the most ugly car ever made, others will think it's the coolest. But I quite like the fact that it even starts that debate, to be fair. Safe to say, this car, on a cheeky bit of A road or B road like this, is great fun. Really great fun. And I know there'll be some, you know, die-hard petrol and diesel car fans that think that's, you know, heresy for me to say that. But I dare you to sit in this car and not drive it down a road like this and have a smile on your face, because you will. But there's one type of road that we still need to test it out on. And believe me, when I had the eNiro, I did a lot of it. Shut up, lane departure warning. And that is dual carriageway or motorway. So I reckon we head off back to Hendy Kia Portsmouth, and on the way we'll talk about its road manners when you want to cruise and get some miles under your belt. Right then, finally away from the traffic and able to get on a dual carriageway, and there's another chirp. It does that all the time. It's got so much to it. I'd love to know what this thing's like in the wet, because it's chirping like a good one in the dry. So price-wise, as I've already mentioned, after the plug-in car grant deduction, these things are just over £34,000. But they come with so much spec anyway, that I think that's not bad. But I actually think where I'm sat now is a really well-appointed car. It's got fantastic range and usability. I think that's a pretty good price. I'd love to know what you think. I think some people will still have to get over the brand snob thing, the Kia thing, but look, this thing's got a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. 7 years! So if you want peace of mind motoring, well, there you go. Are there any things I don't like? I don't like the blingy wheels on this car. I really don't like that design at all. But I guess that's personal preference. There's a few things on the interior I'm not that fond of, but the list isn't that long, to be honest. I really like the quirky looks. Whether I could actually live with this car as my own car, I'm not so sure. I think the looks will definitely divide opinion, but I know that there will be a big market for them, and what I like about the car is the quirky, characterful looks go all the way through the car into the driving experience. But it's a sporty little car, this. I'd love to know what you think of it. I'd love to know what you think of its looks, but honestly, you'd need to drive one of these. It's a super little car to drive. Anyway, I need to say a massive thank you to Hendy Kia Portsmouth. Gummy and the guys there that reached out to me and a couple of weeks ago said, look, do you want to drive the car? I'm so glad you did, because I've enjoyed every minute. It's a cracking little car to drive. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this one. If you have done so, please give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome, and don't forget, if you haven't done so, please subscribe to Petrol Head for plenty more content to come. It doesn't cost you anything. All you need to do is have a Google account, hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and you'll be notified of every time I upload a video to YouTube, and it would be great to have you along on my journey. I'm over 70,000 subscribers now, and I am on the hunt of 100,000 subscribers. I want it so bad, and with your help, I know I can do it. Anyway, I'm going to enjoy my drive back to Kia Portsmouth, but I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. You take care. Drive safe.